Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm going to be doing my 2020 draft recap of the Raiders draft class this year. We had 7 picks, not one past the fourth round. Um, Obviously, the Raiders had probably, I think, indisputably the best draft class last year. You know, first in sacks, first in rushing yards, first in so many categories. Um, Obviously, part of that is because we had to put the rookies in that position, but through all that, even losing Jonathan Abram, he's going to be back this year. That's going to be huge for our secondary. But yeah, I'm just going to give my thoughts on each pick, maybe even a grade. So yeah, here we go. Yeah, so first pick, Henry Ruggs. He was the 12th overall pick, first wide receiver taken off the board. Some people might not have liked it. Some people might not have liked that, but if he fits Gruden's offense, and Gruden, this is the guy that Gruden wanted, so obviously he is a plan for him. So he's a little bit shorter, 5'11", 187. But obviously, everyone knows about that speed, that 4.27 40-yard dash, which he says that he got hurt in the middle of it. So who knows? Maybe he could have beaten John Ross's record. But either way, that was by far the best this year, and that's an extremely high number. But he's not all speed though. At the same time, he has underrated hands. He has a good route tree. With the ball in his hands, he could take it to the house. He's a touchdown waiting to happen. Yeah, that career stat though, the 98 career catches, 24 touchdowns. That's crazy. That literally, basically, a quarter of his catches were touchdowns. He's lightning in a bottle right here. He's going to be like our Tyreek Hill, without the terrible off the field stuff. But nonetheless, I think it was a great pick. I honestly saw it coming that morning when I woke up. I thought that we were going to take Henry Ruggs. I just had a feeling that Gruden was going to fall in love with this guy, and rightfully so. I've started to fall in love with him too. Honestly, I think he's going to do great things. A lot of Raider fans seem to think that he's going to be like a Darius Hayward Bay, but they just haven't been watching the tape. All right, so and then our next pick was Damon Arnett out of Ohio State. Definitely, definitely not expected in the first round. Um, there are people within like the NFL circle that didn't think it was a reach, that he deserves to be there. I do think it was a bit of a reach, but at the same time, if this is what Gruden and Mayock want on their team, then hey, who am I to, you know, Mayock obviously knows what he's doing, judging by last year's draft. Yeah, so he was the 19th pick in the first round. 6 foot 194. That's really good height and weight for a cornerback. Kind of has a similar build to Daryl Worley from last year. Now that I'm looking at him, um, so that 40 yard dash time seems very very low. Although uh, they actually clocked him in 13 seconds or 0.13 seconds too late. So Mayock had him timed at 4:43, and I saw some videos on Twitter of people doing um, their own timings of him, and they were all around 4:42, 4:43, all that kind of stuff. So I honestly think that they did him dirty on that 40-yard dash. He's not that slow if you go watch the tape. He's not a burner, but he's not 4.56. He's not a yeah. 140 tackles, 5 interceptions. Nothing too bad. He played across from Jeff Okuda, for the last couple of years. He's a little bit on the older side, but that doesn't really matter. Um, yeah, if you go watch that tape, he is a dog. Like he attacks the ball. He is so fluid in press coverage. Like that's his bread and butter, is that press man, get in your face, disrupt your route, don't let you be comfortable. Like, and that seems to be the type of team or defense that the Raiders want to build, that identity that, you're not going to let receivers run their routes easy. We're going to bump off the line, that bump and run like the classic Raiders back in the day, like Lester Hayes, Lester the molester. I mean, not that great of a term nowadays, but um, Now the comp, I put Darius Slay. Obviously, if he turns out to be like a Darius Slay type, that'd be amazing. I'm not expecting it because Darius Slay, I think, is he's one of the premier corners in the league. Um, I actually really wanted him, you know, free agency, but obviously the Eagles got him, so good for them. Um, but yeah, I mean, he's a dog. That's really what it is. He's solid in zone, but his bread and butter is press man, really. All right, so next up we got Lynn Bowden Jr. Now this is an interesting one. Now he was forced to play quarterback last season, because of injuries. Although he didn't throw the ball that much, they ran mostly like a wildcat type offense with him. Now obviously his position is not going to be quarterback in the league. Um, yeah, but we picked him in the third round, pick 80, 5'11", 198, solid measurables all around, 4.38, 40-yard dash. And I believe that was at his pro day because he didn't run at the combine. So who knows? It could have been a little bit of a, pro day reach type thing, but he looks fast on film, so I'm not really doubting it. Um, yeah, he was really a gadget player for them though, leading up to that last year. He ran the ball, he received the ball, he took kickoffs to the house, all that good stuff. Um, but for the Raiders, it seems like he's going to be sticking more in like a running back receiver type role. Although John Gruden, he has referred to him as the Joker because in Gruden's playbook, his gadget player that he wants to do a lot of things with, he refers to as the Joker. So Lynn Bowden Jr. is going to play a huge role for the Raiders, I think. Now, his rookie year, he might not be super productive just because of COVID and all that stuff. Rookie production is kind of like up in the air. We'll have to see the season, and it seems like he's going to have to learn a lot the playbook. But he's a smart guy. I think he can do it. He obviously played quarterback last year, so he has to be smart. Now I was trying to think of a comparison for him, but it was really difficult. Obviously everyone's first thought is probably like Taysom Hill, but I don't think he's as good of a passer as Taysom Hill, even though Taysom Hill isn't a fantastic passer. But yeah, so he's just kind of be like a gadget player. He's probably going to return kicks and punts for us. Going to be a running back, receiver. Who knows? Like maybe even run wildcat every once in a while. Who knows? But I like him. He's good. All right. So next we got Brian Edwards. So this was right after the Lynn Bowden pick. We had back-to-back picks in the third round. And I do not know how this guy made it to pick 81, honestly. I know it was a deep wide receiver class, but I mean, look at that picture. That's one of the greatest catches from last season. Like, if not the best. The reason why he fell though is because he broke his foot, so he wasn't able to do combine workouts and stuff like that. But you know, so his measurables are 6'3", 215. So obviously he has great size. 40 time, since he didn't really run at the combine or pro day, people estimate he's around like 4 or 5 ish from like previous 40 times, which seems about right. He's not super fast, but he's like fast enough. Um, I guess his main problem would be he doesn't get a ton of separation just because he's not super fast, but at the same time, he knows how to body people and he knows how to go up for those jump balls, position himself, put himself in good positions to make the play. He's also the all-time leading receiver at South Carolina, ahead of like Debo Samuel. I know there's a couple other guys there, but he ended up being the all-time leading receiver there. Um, so yeah, he could be that X receiver. I really think he can in Gruden's offense. Although this year, I don't think he's going to have a super big impact. Um, because I do think he is similar in a way to Tyrell Williams, although Tyrell Williams is faster. But we could cut Tyrell Williams next year and not lose any dead cap, but he has guaranteed money this year. So I think Brian Edwards could maybe learn behind Tyrell Williams, excuse me, and then maybe next year, if Tyrell Williams, maybe has an injury again or something like that, Brian Edwards could be thrust into that role. He played every single game for the Gamecocks as well last year. He did not miss a game. And he just looks for contact. He doesn't go out of bounds. and it's just crazy how much he searches for contact. You don't usually see that in wide receivers. Although Gruden wants him to tone that down. So a good comp. I didn't want to go like super crazy, with like a really really good receiver like I don't know, like an Alshon Jeffrey or Brandon Marshall or something like that, which they kind of remind me of. So I went with a better Marcell Aitman. A lot of you might not know what Marcell Aitman is. He was a seventh round pick for the Raiders, and I think 2016 or 17, somewhere around that. He's kind of been floating around the team, but he just reminds me of him. He's a big body guy. He can throw those fades too and those jump balls too, and he comes down with them. Um, Honestly, I'm not sure why we haven't given Marcell Aitman more of a chance. I think it's just because he doesn't really get open all that much when he's on the field. And I guess that is the main concern with Bryan Edwards, but Bryan Edwards does it much better. Um, yep. So up next we got Tanner Muse. He was pick 100 in the third round. Um, we're dipping into that Clemson well again. Obviously Mayock, he loves those Clemson players. Last year he drafted, a few drafted a few of them, most notably Cleveland Ferrell at the number 4 overall pick. Yeah, he's 6'2", 229, and he actually ran a 4.41 40-yard dash, which is much much better than I think most people anticipated it being. He's fast on the field, but he didn't look 4.41 fast, which is a little concerning. I guess he could play faster on the field. But his career stats at Clemson, I believe he played all the way through his senior season. 237 tackles, 4 sacks, 7 interceptions, 15 passes broken up. He was a part of a championship Clemson team. I think a lot of people know him for getting juked out of his socks by Justin Jefferson, but hey, that LSU offense was crazy. So Gruden called him his special teams war daddy, which is an interesting name for him, but that just goes to show what he's going to be doing. I think he's going to be that special teams ace, that mainstay on special teams for the next 10 years. But he played mostly safety at Clemson, although Gruden wants to transition him into a more of a linebacker type role, which I think does suit him better because he doesn't have the best agility or flexibility. Definitely can't play like a deep safety type role. He's not twitchy enough for that. So I think a weak side linebacker role fits him the best, honestly. He can attack those blocks. He'll hit hard. Not a great tackler, but he can hit, which is always an interesting combo. But yeah, I just think he can be that guy on, more of a depth guy. He probably won't be a starter. Who knows? He could be, but he'll probably be more of a depth guy. Maybe come in every once in a while on first downs, try to help stop the run. Come out in heavy sets. A good comparison. I went with Sua Cravens mainly just because of that safety linebacker mix role. I thought about Jeff Heath, although Jeff Heath is mostly just a safety. But yeah, that's about it for him. So up next, we're back at it again with the Clemson. John Simpson, guard. Honestly, I hadn't heard his name that much coming out of the draft process, so I didn't really watch him all that much. Also, I don't think I'm the best evaluator of like offensive line talent. But he was 4th round pick, 109. I believe we traded up for him, and that's why we don't have any picks past the 4th round. But yeah, 6'4", 330. Big dude. He has great arm length, great hand size. What you're looking for, and even an offensive tackle prospect is what he's got. But he was more of a run oriented guard, I guess. Like he needs to work on pass protection. He can get upended sometimes by more by either really strong defensive linemen, and he can also get like faked out by the quicker, twitchier defensive linemen like Javon Kinlaw in the Senior Bowl. He ate John Simpson's, or he took John Simpson's lunch money, honestly. So it's more of like the athletic freaks that he has trouble dealing with. The people that can really just push him back, as well as swim move around him or spin, all that good stuff. So yeah, he's just got to work on that. He does remind me of Gabe Jackson on the Raiders. Gabe Jackson had a very, very good season in early on in his career. He was really, really good. I'd say like 2016, 2017 were his great years. The last couple of years, he's kind of struggled. Although I believe he has been injured, but just watching him, he does remind me a lot of Gabe Jackson. That like that big, big, strong guy. You know, just needs some more work. Definitely not going to be a starter this year. Um, it could be in the future. Maybe if we get rid of Gabe Jackson because he has kind of a bigger cap hit and he hasn't really been healthy. Um, but yeah, that's about it for him. And then we're here at the last pick, Amik Robertson. Although he should not have been the last pick because this man is. I honestly have no idea how he made it this far at all. Um, I I think he was definitely one of the steals of the draft. I think part of the reason why he fell is just because of his size and the competition. But it doesn't matter when you play like how he did. So he was the 139th pick in the fourth round. Obviously, he's a very, very small guy, 5'8", 187, but he does not play like that. He will just jam you at the line no matter how big you are. There's a clip I saw of him against it's like a 6'4", 6'5" wide receiver, and he just right when the ball snapped, he just pushed his hands into him and he just pressed him so hard and knocked him off of his route. He does not care how big you are, how fast you are, how strong you are. He does not care, and that's how he plays, and I love that. And that is part of the reason I see that Damon Arnett pick and this pick as like 1 and 2 because they it Gruden and Mayock obviously have a type, and this is it. The guys who just don't care, who are going to press you hard, who are going to tackle you hard, who are going to be super aggressive and not let you be comfortable. And I love that. He ran a 4.45 at his pro day. It's solid time, not the greatest, but I think he's faster than that on a field, which is, I guess, what matters more. Um, he had some great stats throughout his career with the Bulldogs: 184 tackles, 4 sacks, 14 interceptions. I think he had 7 last year alone. Um, I describe him as a pit bull and chihuahua body. He'll hit you hard. He's just super fluid in man coverage too. He's better at playing shallow zones than he is at playing deep zones. He can obviously struggle with some of the bigger receivers. Not so much at the release does he struggle, but just at the catch point, he can struggle with that. So that's why I think he'll strictly be a slot receiver. Um, Although he'll probably have issues, with teams that will scheme tight ends in the slot and big wide receivers and stuff like that. But I think he can cover like the Cole Beasleys, well, he's not going to have to cover Hunter Renfrow, but the Hunter Renfrows of the world. A good comp that I'd put is Nickel Roby-Coleman. I also thought about Lamarcus Joyner, but I think Lamarcus Joyner is better suited at safety than he is at slot corner. So I went Nickel Roby-Coleman. And if he is a player like Nickel Roby-Coleman, then that's perfect because he's probably a top 5 slot corner. And, in today's game, the slot corner is almost just as important as the other 2 corners, with how much teams are playing nickel. Having 3 really, really good corners is a huge advantage. Raiders, they got Trayvon Mullen, rookie last year. He played great. And then Damon Arnett and hopefully Amik Robertson. The Marcus Joyner will probably be starting in the slot, starting out. But I'm hoping Amik Robertson takes him over, and maybe they'll put Lamarcus Joyner back at his natural position at safety because that's where he excels. Yeah, so that's about it for the draft class. Yeah, so just to recap: Henry Ruggs, pick 12, first wide receiver, speedster, lightning in a bottle. Damon Arnett, just a dog, just press man, line him up on the outside. He's going to do his thing. Lynn Bowden, call him the Joker. Brian Edwards, hopefully a future X receiver alongside Henry Ruggs. Is good contrast with him. He's that big body. Ruggs is that small speedster. Tanner Muse, special teams war daddy. John Simpson, hopefully develops, maybe to a starting guard one day, although probably more of a depth guy. And then Amik Robertson, future starting slot corner. I don't really have a doubt about that, honestly. I have a lot of faith in Amik Robertson. He has all the things that you want in a slot corner. And yeah, hopefully we this year, we get. I can't even ask for the same turnout as last year because last year our rookie class was ridiculous, and we got to tone down our expectations of rookies. I think this year, just because of the lack of time that they have, and just not as much time in the process of getting to learn everything. So, but yeah, that's about it, guys. So if you enjoyed this video and if you made it all the way through, I appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. Probably going to release some Sporkle NFL quizzes coming up just because those are fun, and I think everyone likes to play along with them, I guess. But yeah, that's about it, guys. All right, I appreciate you. See you guys later.